ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another episode on the Cargill Fitness Weight Training Podcast. We're going to go over a little bit of some success, some motivation, some life principles. And on top of that, we're going to be lifting some heavy ass weights and we're going to be moving our bodies. So we just want to put that together. For our guest today, she's probably one of the most personal storytelling folks that I may have ever met ever. She's been in the fitness field for several years. I think we might be talking about a couple decades, and yeah, you're gonna see that soon. The professionalism is on point, smooth like suede velvet. Mother of 3, a wife of 17 years, and yes, again, just one of the greatest storytellers that I've had the pleasure to train and work with. So without further ado, we're gonna say hello to Claudine Cooper. Come on through. We're gonna do we're doing
quarantine dab.
The quarantine dab.
You know?
The Rona dab.
Stay safe.
Right? And we're gonna get right over into our working out here. So we're gonna start off on the leg press. But as we roll into our leg press here, so just for those at home, taking a look at the different workouts here, we're going over a little bit of full body today, so you'll see us. And also, both of us, we've been working out, how many days you said straight now?
8 days straight.
8 days straight. I'm off for 7 days straight. We are sore as hell. So we're gonna go over a lot of machines. It's gonna help us a little bit with recovery. We're gonna start off with the leg press first. So remember, just pushing this down. So Claudine, break it down for us. You've been in this game a dub. We're talking a couple decades here. So, and I don't know how, because you ain't but what, 25? So
I ain't but 25.
Please tell me how you finessed yourself to be in this game for such a time.
Well, you know, I got my first gym job when I was 17, and I'm 45 actually. I'm not 25.
I heard
okay?
that. You heard that? This ain't April Fool's, by the way.
And I started working at the gym because I heard you got a free membership.
Understood.
Do I get to get on here?
Absolutely.
Okay, let me get on
I was warming
here.
it up for you.
And how do you want my feet? Do you want me to do the wide foot stance?
Whichever works best for you.
Well,
Just get right into it.
Okay.
All right. We're going to push down here.
Where's the flipper?
All right. For those of you who may be vertically challenged, you might have to make a couple adjustments with the feet, and that's okay.
That's okay.
All right. We still love you. It's all good.
Look, God didn't make me tall because he knew I wouldn't know how to act. Let's go, you guys. It is not easy to work through soreness, is it, Marcus? I am dying right now, but I'm going to get this work because there's no excuses in this fitness game. I'm telling you, we're in quarantine right now. I got my little mask on if I need to pull that thing up.
Here we go.
I also have been pregnant working out. I had 3 pregnancies while I was training. I had motion, what do you call it? Nausea, not motion sickness, same thing, it feels that way. Nausea and all that, but I still trained through all that because I know the power of exercise. And the power of exercise is that even when you're sore, even when you're tired, even when you have nausea if you're pregnant, you still gotta get this work. It's gonna make a huge difference in your mood, in your joy, in your peace. Yeah, I believe in exercise.
Yeah. And so you said you got started because you know, hey, I can roll through this gym for free. Cool. I remember what the first ones you were at. So we're talking about YMCA, LA Fitness, Bally's.
I've worked for all of those.
Oh wow.
Yes.
Okay.
So I've been in the game for a long time. But I originally actually started working out because my therapist told me that it was good for my depression. I lost
therapy.
Good oh yeah, black people go to therapy. That's good too.
Black folks go to therapy.
We need therapy. So listen though, the therapist said, you don't need medication, Claudine. What you need is an hour of exercise every day. That's what's gonna change your mood. That's what's gonna bring your joy back. Marcus, how many more? How many more?
About 50.
He's trying to kill me,
y'all. Come on. All right, we're gonna get one more round before we switch out.
Okay.
All right, so break that down. So you ended up going to therapy, and from there your therapist
I ended up going to therapy because I lost, you know how they say bad things happen in threes? Have you heard that before?
I have heard that.
Okay, so within 1 year, within 1 year I lost a family member to homicide, a friend to suicide, and another friend to a terrible car accident.
Wow.
I was so sad, I was grieving, I couldn't pull myself out the bed. And my mom, who I didn't live with at the time, I actually lived with my dad.
Right.
But my mom was like, I think something's wrong because you keep sleeping all the time. So that's an indicator.
Right there. If you find yourself sleeping a lot,
tell him, Marcus.
if you find yourself sleeping a lot, resting all the time, there may be a low-grade depression
for sure
going on. Okay.
Yeah. And so I ended up going to see a therapist who said, you're young, you can still recover from this without actually medicating. Now, to have somebody not medicate you and give you an option that's natural and healthy, that right there is a blessing that I look back on to this day with so much gratitude. Right?
Yeah, that doesn't seem to happen a lot. Nowadays, it seems to be more of a culture where
drugs.
Something is wrong with you, let's put you on some pills, some drugs.
Yeah.
Not saying that there may not be a time where it's more appropriate than others, but it seems to be an overwhelming majority in terms of a decision.
Sure.
So I don't know something about that.
Well, we could get into the whole conspiracy theory on that, but I don't want to do that today.
Another episode. I don't have my tinfoil hat yet to wrap around, so we'll have to put that another day. But so you got into the fitness field, and from there, what would you say? Did you see that you were going to be doing this for the time frame that
Absolutely not. Did I think at 17 years old that I would be 45 years old standing in front of like up to 50 to 100 people per time in my class, talking about my life and my kids and my husband, teaching people how to do push-ups and squats and all that? Did I think I was going to be doing this 30 years ago? Of course not. No way. Somehow your purpose finds you.
Right. And found the finish line. Bring it up to the top. All the way. There we go. All right, let's get on to the next one.
Okay.
All right, so now we got the leg extension. We got the leg curl being executed effortlessly over on this side and on this side here. So we're working the quads with Claudine, the hamstrings over on this side with Cargill. So right now, we got to break down a couple different things here.
Ready?
As you are moving, you mentioned being a mother of 3, a wife of several years.
Yeah.
So, me personally, I desire to have a wife and children. I desire to have a family. You know what I mean? I'm looking forward to it. I'm excited. So, what things have you learned that you'd be able to tell the fellow men out there and women as well? Because everybody's going to be watching. You know, kind of what are the keys to success? 17 years, that's a whole person right there. So talk a little bit about, what were the keys? What did you get out of that? And we got the whole, I don't even know if I should, Will and Jada. We got. Anyway,
now look.
That might be another conversation.
No, actually, I think it ties in. So
Okay,
I'm glad you
okay.
brought up Will and Jada, because for the people who are watching today, it's a big day as far as like in the news, Will and Jada's relationship with this, with this third party who has entered into their relationship and gone public and all of that. But one thing that I did want to say is that forgiveness is a huge part of any relationship, not just marriage, right? But like friendships, relationships you have with your parents, relationships we have with our children. And so I can't speak on the relationship of two people who I don't know personally, but I do know that forgiveness has to be the common thread in all of our relationships for it to go to a long-lasting level.
Got it.
That's it.
That's good. So forgiveness is the ultimate.
Forgiveness sometimes is not even for the person, right? So if we take our parents, for example, you got longer legs than me, Mr. Cargill. But I'm gonna scoop my body up.
You're gonna be good.
Yep.
Got you up here.
Because my first love is lifting weights. This is what I started doing when I started working at the gym.
Understood.
So I'll make it work.
All right, no problem.
But what I wanted to say is, if we think about our parents, right? Our parents have done things wrong. Everyone's parents have done things wrong. And I'm sure I'm doing things wrong as a parent right now, right? So if you apply the principle of forgiveness to your parents, you start there. And you say, I know my parents did the best that they could with the tools that they had, right? Then you say to yourself, I'm doing the best I can with the tools that I have.
Understood.
You have to forgive yourself You have to give forgiveness as a way to find peace inside of yourself.
Got it.
So I've been able to apply that to my marriage as well. There's things that I do that I know my husband is like, here she go again. Here she go again, complaining about who's not cleaning up, complaining about, But he forgives me daily. And I have to forgive him daily for whatever little infractions I feel like, he didn't take my feelings into consideration. Sometimes it's not personal. You have to apply forgiveness just to get through the day-to-day and end up at 17, 20, 25, 30, 40, 50 years. My grandparents were married 64 years.
Ooh-wee.
Baby?
Ooh-wee. I would imagine that
there was some forgiveness. There was some forgiveness that had to take place, for sure.
Real talk. Wow. Okay, so forgiveness seems to be the key. Not taking things personal.
Not taking things personal.
People aren't out there to get you, so to speak.
Yeah.
You want to make sure that you stay on point. Okay, I got you here. And so through that, then that turned into, we're talking about marriage, and then it turned into building a relationship with the children.
Yes, the children.
So, did you, when you went into it, how do I ask this question? Did you plan on having 3 children? Did you want 3 children? Did you want a bigger family, a smaller family? What were the lessons that you gained out of having children? Or would you say it's kind of more the same?
I would like to share something personal with you guys.
Okay.
My husband and I, before we got married, we discussed children. Children were not a surprise for us. Children were a planned event. I asked him, do you want children? And how many children do you want? And if we can't physically have children, what lengths are you willing to go so that I can get my babies? Because I want some babies. You know what I'm saying? I knew that.
Understood.
My husband said, I'm not willing to go to any lengths. If we can't have children, that's God's plan. And I don't alter God's plan. Now that was not in my thinking at all. That was kind of against my thinking. I was like, say what? All the science that's at our fingertips so that I could have my dream of being a mother. And this man is saying, if we can't have kids, we just not having kids. Shook. But
okay.
That was the start of me learning that this relationship is compromise. Daily compromise. And when he said that, and I knew I wanted kids. I didn't just want a kid. I didn't even just want 2 kids. I knew I wanted a little tribe of kids. Because I come from a big family. I'm one of 6 kids. I'm the oldest. I have 25 first cousins. We reproduce, baby. We are fertile. So I assumed it would be fine. But I was worried that if it wasn't fine, we wouldn't be on the same page. My husband is very firm. If he says this is what he believes, that's it. No wavering on his part. So thankfully, we were able to get pregnant naturally. I was able to deliver the children with no medication. I just pushed those babies out, right? Breastfed each child for 2 years. Okay, so that is some serious sacrifice right there. Serious sacrifice. And I had 3 children back to back. So as soon as I was done nursing, boom, my husband was getting me pregnant again. I couldn't rest, y'all. I couldn't rest. He was on me.
Well, I mean, you always working out, going to the gym, lifting them weights. So,
I do be lifting them weights and, try to get my body back and all that.
That shea butter.
And that shea butter, a little bit of genetics thrown in there because my mom still has a 6-pack at 60 years old. So,
Wow.
You got to take that into consideration too. So when people are looking on the internet and they're seeing these altered bodies, and then they come to us as trainers, and then they say, I want this body, and they pull up a picture of a person who has had thousands of dollars in cosmetic surgery. I usually tell people, you have to look at what God gave you, your genetic makeup, and you got to make that the best it can be. Now, if you want to spend thousands of dollars on cosmetic surgery like these people on Instagram or Facebook or whatever, feel free.
Right.
Me, I don't want to spend no money. I'm cheap. So we gonna get what we can. We gonna get what we gonna get. Just here, in the weight room. But yeah, so
I understand that.
yeah, and that's one reason why I really focus on natural development in the people who exercise with me, instead of focusing on, hey, let's tone your butt or let's work on your stomach. If you weren't already genetically predisposed to have a six-pack, we could do, tell them, Marcus, we could do abs all day.
Real talk. You can do the abs all day, all night. But most of you may understand that you're gonna start off, you're gonna have to deal with what you have. All right, you've been dealt some cards. You want to make the best out of the cards that you've been dealt with. And yes, there's a big portion of that is trainable. But at the end of the day, if you're here trying to go here and you weren't already here, then you're gonna have. There's a point where you're gonna have to find that compromise. Maybe you can get close there, but you might not get quite there. And I think that's where that dysmorphia comes into play. Or there's an obsession that can sometimes lead to maybe an unhealthy obsession, rather than taking that time to just be express gratitude with where you're at, with who you are, so forth and so on. You know what I mean? Just really expressing gratitude. This is where I'm at, and I'm working on being better. Versus I'm working on an extreme. And then it doesn't quite get you to that point. You become unhealthy because you're obsessing over this thing that isn't quite for you.
And maybe the thing you're obsessing over doesn't actually exist in real life. Like what you're obsessing over is on a computer screen. What you're obsessing over has been altered by a cosmetic surgeon, right? So now you want what somebody else has when you haven't even taken the time to step into gratitude for what you have.
Right.
Your body is a tool. It is a temple. You make it stronger. You make it better with your actions, daily consistency. I don't need to tell you, you do this every day.
All right. I appreciate a reminder. I'm sure the folks out there appreciate a reminder too. So we're gonna take it over into the upper body. We just got our leg press, we got our leg extensions, our leg curls. So we got the lower body knocked out. We're gonna go over some chest, some back, moving over into the upper body. So we're gonna cover a couple things. One is gonna be the seated row. We'll get the chest press after that.
Now, just a question for the seated row. When you do the seated row, are you doing a close, narrow grip, or are we doing an overhand pull grip? Which?
Great question. All right. She's trying to make sure I actually get every little bit of my student loan debt.
I want that expertise, baby.
Good. All right. So Claudine mentioned the difference between the different grips. So I'll see if we can break that down a little bit. The top grip's gonna get a little bit more of the top. The bottom grip gets a little bit more of the bottom. So I gotta show you the tank top now. All right.
Don't kill him with the lats though. Let's see what you got.
This is the liquor store uniform. So when I'm going to the liquor store, you know what I'm working with. All right. So right here we got the top grip, the overhand. You're driving back, you hold it. So making sure you can see a little bit of what's going on here. The other thing I like about the back is it low-key works the chest a little bit too. So you can kind of get the best of both worlds. When in doubt, if you work your back, you can get both areas worked pretty well. So we got the top grip here. Now I'm taking it down to the bottom grip. So as I'm getting these reps in, Claudine is getting her practice reps in on this one too, because this is gonna be her turn coming up next. Talk to us a little bit about what you are doing now. What do you say is driving you? What are your current goals right now when you're working with people?
To be honest with you, I really do my best to just stay in the present moment,
Okay.
I got a phone call the other day from a woman this is what's crazy. You don't ever know who's watching you. You want me to take the lower grip? Somebody's always watching. So I'm gonna take the lower grip first.
Okay.
You asked about my husband earlier, and you just mentioned that when you work back, you're also using supportive muscles. I think about weight training when I work through the reps of going through marriage every day. One person may be strong in one area, whereas another person may be strong in another area. You need the chest to support the back. We need the supportive muscle. When you work your quad, you gotta have a strong hamstring, right? So all of these things, should I switch now, Marcus?
Yeah. Get a couple.
So all of these things go together. I always say exercise is just like life. right?
Very much so.
So
Message.
I find that my husband is so supportive of my purpose, which is to reach people through health and fitness, right?
Yeah.
And if I didn't have my husband's support, I don't know that I would be able to do this job with such grace and such ease.
Understood.
But saying that to say, I got a call the other day where a woman was like calling from a major TV network asking me if I wanted to do a live video for the TV network.
Right.
And I said, wow, I wasn't aiming for that. I wasn't shooting for that. I wasn't planning for that. What happens is when you do what you love, everything makes way for you. The doors open effortlessly. You don't have to push. It's just like these weights. You just let them go this way, and effortlessly your chest supports your back. So that's what's happening.
Okay. We're going to see you on a television screen soon.
Well, we'll see what happens. Entertainment is fickle, right?
What was it, Jane Fonda or something?
Jane Fonda is the for real goat, though. Straight up.
Yeah, I got you. All right. So we got you there. We got you breaking down a little bit about how support. And I was reading the book, shout out to Paris, I thank you, my brother, for this. The book, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. And it talked a little bit about,
that's really good. Yeah.
Similar to what you mentioned with support, with a different term. It mentions how there's 3 levels of maturity. There's dependency, independence, and then interdependence being the highest level of maturity. And so the interdependence is basically breaking down how you need a team. You know what I mean? You need the support. For those familiar with more, African proverbs, it takes a village. Having a village mentality. Independence is cool, but really that true higher level is interdependence. When you're able to work with a team, when you're able to collaborate. That's why I wanted to make a point to always connect with you, because all the amazing things I'm always hearing about you doing and seeing you it inspires me. It makes me want to be better. It makes me want to make sure that I'm able to give more to people. So, thank you for that. Didn't mean to go into that, but
but thank you because you know how I teach my workouts in the neighborhood. I live in Inglewood, by the way, and
anybody in the city of Inglewood?
Inglewood.
Don't plug it right now. You want to go to those community classes every Saturday, right?
Yeah, I teach community classes for people who may not be able to afford a gym membership, and I just want to make myself available to give. And for those of you who don't know, Marcus has stepped in and he has helped me when I wasn't able to be there. And the people were so responsive and so receptive to his style of training. You see, there's enough bread for everybody to eat. I don't need to be the star of the show. Collaboration, village mentality, interdependence, all of those things, they lead to abundance, and they build and they strengthen our community in ways that we can't even imagine. I'm going to turn them this way. Support, connection, all of those things come together when we don't compete with each other.
Right. Still about what, 50 more reps, 60 more reps?
You a lie.
All right, we all good. We'll get you onto this final run, right over on this side. I think you had some questions for me.
I have 2 questions for you. I know. Well, one thing you and I, when we train together, we always connect on music.
Oh.
We love music. So I just wanted to know, where did your love for music come from?
That's a great question. So I guess you could say I grew up in somewhat of a musical family. My father's a musician, violinist, and just multi-talented in many ways. His mother, my grandmother, is a pianist and an incredible singer. My grandfather, his father, played the horn and the xylophone as well. So
The xylophone.
yeah, all over the place as far as different things within that. Kind of grew up in the church, and a lot of times you grew up in the church, you're gonna be in that choir, boy. So it ain't no question about that. So spending a lot of time up in the choir. Yeah, and from there, you know, you just grow up constantly listening to good music.
Yeah.
So I was spoiled. I didn't really listen to the radio like that. I was always listening to whatever was played in the household. And when I did listen to the radio, you know, I would listen to the hip hop. But outside of that, everything that was played in the house was better. So I didn't see the point in listening to anything else, honestly. So from there, it just kept turning into this love. And even through a lot of the songs with hip hop, you know, like even with Ice Cube, Today Was a Good Day. And you go into the crates, you're like, oh, that's
This
Isley
stems
Brothers.
from Isley Brothers, exactly.
Footsteps in the I keep hearing footsteps.
Yes, yes.
You know, so just hearing all those kind of different things happening over and over again, I'm like, well, a lot of times the stuff they sampled, the sample sounds better than the actual song that took the sample. So, you know, again, just constantly being spoiled, and just really falling in love with that. There is so much.
I know you're about to change that weight for me, though. That's what I do know.
Take this weight a little bit heavier.
You better stop.
Okay. But yeah, just going over those different things and just again, just really falling in love with it. I grew up playing a little bit of music, so again, being in the choir, play piano, play violin, viola, cello, bass, guitar, drums. Yeah, so I went through quite a few things back in the day. Now I just, you know, I sing in the shower in the car when the windows rolled up.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, or when you're training someone.
And that pretty much covers that. So that's sort of the musical background.
Okay.
Yeah.
So my other question is, what motivates you? Why are you in health and fitness?
Okay. So what motivates me is being able to get people to experience the same feeling that I felt when I first experienced my little shift, the transformation. When I first got into this, I grew up, well, just let me backtrack. I grew up low confidence, low self-esteem, negative mindset, scarcity, all the bad things that you could put together. That was pretty much me, all rolled up in one. And from there, it turned into a situation where I started to get into sports later in high school because I started hanging out with friends more. They were into sports. From there, I got into sports since I grew up in music, right? Got into the sports, and from there, I realized, oh wow, I think I love this. And from there, getting into football, particularly in 11th grade, first time ever playing in an organized sport. Didn't know nothing, didn't know this. I'm learning it all from scratch. And from there, I started to really fall in love with the weight training aspect. And that was sort of where I started learning a lot about life, right? So you're getting all these lessons, like it's you versus you. And you got to experience failure to get stronger, to get better, so forth, so on. So many other different
Speaking
messages.
of, I'm at failure.
Okay, all right, you're good.
Okay.
You know, yeah, I'm gonna just keep on politicking.
Yeah, you will.
Doing your thing. You know, so on from there, I just, once I noticed the shift in how I thought and how I seen things, and the fact that I grew an appreciation for failure because I knew that it made me better every time I experienced it.
Yeah.
And so from there, moving forward, it turned into.
Can you expound on that a little bit? How in weight training, when you hit failure, you're actually hitting success?
Message right there.
It's a real message.
So let's say for example, right here, let's say if this is failure and this is about as far as I can go, this is as far as I can take it, I can't go any further, and I'm done. What happens is the muscles are going to get stronger. The muscles get stronger because they need to be ready for going a little bit further on the next round, the next time I come through. And so that's the beauty behind weight training is it teaches you that failure is what's making you stronger. When you're not going hard enough and you're not experiencing that failure.
When it's easy.
When it's easy,
when you're
basically.
Comfortable.
Exactly. You're in that comfort zone. When you're in that comfort zone, you're not growing.
Amen.
So, and trust me, even though I'm saying it right now out loud, I'm still saying it to myself. I need to remind myself of that as well, because it's very easy to slip back into the lows of the comfort zone. You know what I mean? It feels good there. So I have to constantly remind myself, like, yo, you can't spend too much time in that comfort zone. So everybody out there that's listening, same thing. Don't get yourself out of that comfort zone. You don't want to spend a lot of time there. There is nothing good for you there. There ain't nothing but the past. And spending too much time in the past, you're not going to be able to be present. You're not going to be able to focus on the future. So anyway, that failure is a beautiful thing because it's going to get you further along where you want to go. So you should be actually striving for failure. Start to look at failure as a positive versus a negative because it's going to make you better. It's going to get you further along where you want to be. And you won't know how much more you can do if you don't try to fail. So
how do we apply that to life though? How do we look at failure and not feel like failure?
All right. I'm gonna see if I can get a couple more reps in here.
See if you can get a couple more reps, even when it hurts.
So right now, this is burning, and I'm hella uncomfortable.
Yes.
Just like in life, you're going through whatever struggles you're experiencing in life, and it's uncomfortable. You don't want to go through it, and you can't be so cool anymore. You can't be smooth with it. And now you're starting to get uncomfortable. Your body language is starting to change. You don't like how it feels. You don't like how it's making you look. But I know the more time I could spend in this discomfort, the stronger I'm going to come out of this. Okay. And thinking about that actually motivates me. It makes me want to experience even more discomfort. It makes me want to push a little bit further. Because I know the more time I can spend in here, the better I'm going to get. So, as far as life is concerned, what activities have you scared? What are you scared to do right now? And start getting into doing those activities.
Maybe like a podcast.
Do it scared. Maybe like
a podcast.
Oh shoot, maybe like a podcast. So getting into the habit of doing things even when you're scared, because chances are that's the thing that you need to do that's been holding you back from your growth, from reaching that next level. You probably need to get into that. So that, and again, I'm reminding myself as I'm saying it over again to everybody here, I have to still remind myself that's where you need to go. So yeah, get into the practice of appreciating failure. I'm not saying you're gonna like it, but understand that the outcome that you're gonna get out of it is gonna take you where you wanna go. And it's gonna bring that happiness. That's my little spiel.
You about to make me cry in here. Oh my God, I love this message. You know why I love this message? Because I look at it and I apply it to so many things, right? So let's just take, for example, you wanted to talk about me being married and how you ultimately would like to have a wife and a family, right?
Yes, absolutely.
So you gotta think, you gotta take a risk on a whole human. You gotta.
That's quite complex.
That is very complex.
Right.
So here you are.
Operating off that public school education.
Baby.
Let me see.
Here you are. Public school born and raised right here. And you find someone and you feel like, okay, this could be a good fit. We love each other. There's hearts, there's butterflies. But what's gonna happen if there aren't hearts and butterflies? What happens in the discomfort? What happens when it hurts? When your body language changes? Can you stick it out? Can you continue to push even when it hurts, even when it's uncomfortable? See, what we're most scared of is taking a risk with our heart. And that right there is pretty much the gist of what I started talking about with forgiveness. Because if you are a person who cannot forgive, and there's a lot of us out there, oops, did I say us? I had to work really hard on being a forgiving person in order to make this 17-year marriage work. And I don't just mean like forgiving him, I mean forgiving myself, forgiving him, all of that. And taking a risk with your heart is the biggest risk you will take. Because that is where the real discomfort lies, but that's also where the most beautiful growth happens. You know? So,
okay. So, Miss Claudine, first and foremost, I want to say thank you. You made it through. Oh,
where we going? Where we
going?
going? See how it is?
That?
This is how Rona is. It's like, hi,
never mind. I got no embracing is allowed.
I know, it's so hard. I love hugs, you know I do, but I'm trying to be safe. I'm trying to be careful. Look out for my loved ones.
Absolutely.
You know, wear my little coverage here.
I got you. So, well, first and foremost, thank you. We went through everything. We got to talk about a lot of great things. We got to talk a little bit about forgiveness. We got to talk about that comfort zone and getting used to being outside of that comfort zone and being able to push through that a little bit of relationships and kind of the keys to success there, and some fly music. So what we got the Osley Brothers. I heard
we like a little Curtis Mayfield, you and me. Yeah,
What
what else? Yeah,
Curtis Mayfield.
Old school everything. How about this? Diamond in the back,
sun rooftop,
sing it.
digging the scene
With the gangster lean.
gangster white walls.
You better tell it.
Oh man. So on a serious note, check those out. But in addition to that, what's the best way we can get in contact with you? What things are you doing that people can start connecting with you on right now? How can we?
Well, I talked about the workout in Inglewood. I teach a class at Darby Park every Saturday, 8 a.m., totally free. Just bring your body and your smile, your positive attitude. You can bring your dog, your kids, whatever. It's a lot of people, a lot of family. We maintain safe distance, right? People wear their face coverings, things like that. I also have a social media profile platform. I go on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. My name is Claudine Cooper. So if you just Google Claudine Cooper, I have a website. It's really, I love to connect. So for me, I'm not selling anything. I don't need you necessarily to follow me. I just like to share my life stories, and as much as that can help someone or inspire someone, great. And if, I'm not for everybody.
Right.
And I'm okay with that.
Right.
That's what 45 is like. 45 is like, look, I'm not for everybody, and I'm okay with that.
Understood. All right, I pay the respects there. So thank you again, Miss Claudine. We sincerely appreciate you being here. Thank you all for joining us on another episode on the podcast here. And I think we're out of here. So you'll probably catch us doing some B-rolls and behind the scenes a little bit later. But until then, peace, folks. Thank you.
Peace, love.
So.